he's trying to run a one-man band out there behind his seat. And leave a comment below. This is a make-or-break season for he's got to make an impact. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Happy Friday, January 19th. I hope all of you are having a great day so far, and we can help provide you the comedy, entertainment, and all the live topics and some stats for you right now on the show. We're going to dial into the Packers. We're going to talk about a lot what's going on with that matchup this week. Can Jordan Love step up to the plate and make it happen against a real team? The 49ers and Brock Purdy. We'll see what happens. Let me introduce our co-host of the show. Before we go into that, don't forget we do all sports, football, baseball, basketball, all around the board. But coming on right now, our co-host, the guy we love, face for radio, my beloved white guy, Brent Chapman. Welcome to the show.
Press the button, Brandon. There we go.
We're on it. We're on it.
All right. Brandon, do you see this very special shirt that I'm wearing today? Can you see what this thing over here is? Do you know what this is?
You know what this looks like to me right now? It looks like somebody's swimming on your shirt.
No, this is a guy jumping, and you can see he's jumping onto a table. Do you see that?
Oh!
I think
I saw that on YouTube with the Bills players.
Yes.
Our Bills fans.
Buffalo tailgating undefeated.
Yeah, I tell you what, I did see that, Brian. I didn't know they made a shirt like that, but I did see a clip of them jumping from 10, 15 feet high. And
they were, Bills fans will jump through the tables when it's concrete on the ground. Now you gave them mountains of snow piles that they can jump into. They're jumping from 20 feet onto burning tables. It's incredible, but I wear that to say that Buffalo is going to need Bills Mafia this weekend at their side to win, and hopefully a couple snowballs at those refs to make sure that they stay in line.
Hey, I like the snowballs and the table diving more than I like West Virginia was burning couches when I was playing. You show up to the stadium, couches are on fire, cars are on fire, and they're whipping batteries. Yeah. I mean, that was the backyard brawl.
It's the most Neanderthal reaction to tailgating. Oh, what are we going to do to celebrate? Let's set something on fire.
The Neanderthal. Well, Brad, we got a lot to talk about today. Packers, 49ers, all the way down the list you see on the side there, hitting some serious topics. But today we're talking about the main event, the Packers, the 49ers. Does Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers have enough in the tank? They rallied late in the season. They rolled through the Cowboys. I mean, they steamrolled through the Cowboys. Put them into a position to have conversation and go, oh, okay, well, maybe Jordan Love is that good, and maybe the Packers have more talent than we were thinking. And this combination, this team, this matchup isn't a blowout like people thought, unless you think different, Brent. Does Jordan Love and the Packers have enough to play against the 49ers and Brock Purdy with all the talent, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel?
Look, I think what's going to happen is the Packers have been playing very well lately. They ended the season strong, 7-2, right? Jordan Love is starting to figure it out. Spent many years behind Aaron Rodgers, so it's not like he didn't get good training, but now he's doing it himself. And we talked about this earlier in the week, Brandon, and I think it's still relevant, right? Which is the Packers have had to fight and claw and give it every ounce they have to get to this point, and they are on a roll. And the 49ers have been on the beach with Jessica Simpson, drinking Mai Tais, having a great time, resting, relaxing, and they're going to show up to the game, and they better be ready to play. And yes, from a talent perspective, they're extremely far superior talented than the Packers. But any given Sunday, bro, any game, if you don't show up and you're not ready to go and you give them this much and let them build this much confidence, it could be a dogfight. With all that said, I do think the 49ers are just so much more talented, and they will just, maybe start out a little slow, but run them out of the building. And I'm not going to make the pick that I made with the Texans upsetting the Ravens. I'm going to go with the Niners here. But do you think, Brandon, that sort of starting out slow, if that's true, does that really affect the whole game, or that just kind of affects the rhythm at the beginning of the game?
I think the start of the game is important. I think you got to come out blazing. The Packers did that against the Cowboys, right? The Packers against the Cowboys did that, and you see right here.
Oh, yeah.
Jordan Love comes out correct right now, just like the other teams have done, right? The Bills came out, crushed the Steelers, right? Like these teams, only team that claimed that was close was Lions and the Rams. I mean, if Jordan Love comes out tough like he did against the Cowboys, and I'm saying you got to put up all of these points, but move the ball, get first downs. Field possession is important. Everyone talk about Lamar Jackson and saying, oh, you know, but his defense put him in good positions. Well, the Packers have to have the same thing. These teams have to be in better positions when they get the ball to put points on the board. You can't always, in the National Football League, drive 80 yards, especially in the playoffs. But Jordan Love stepped up. In this clip, watch him, some of these highlights. Jordan Love stepped up. Went against Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, drove down, scored, drove down, scored, drove down, scored. At one point, 27-0. The Packers are a lot better than people give them credit for. I'm not sure they have enough in the tank to beat the 49ers, but I will say this. In a second, when I have another clip, when we get to who we're talking about with these running back positions with Aaron Jones, Christian McCaffrey, that comparison, we can't forget Aaron Dobbs for the Packers and then also Deebo Samuel. But Brent, listen, Jordan Love came out blazing. He didn't come out like, hey, I'm learning a little bit. I think he came out learning a little bit during the regular season. And I think he stepped up and he said, I was behind, like you said, behind, Aaron Rodgers. Before that was Brett Favre. Green Bay Packer fans, and I know you attest to this, are great fans. Lambeau Field, the Lambeau Leap, it's been famous for a long time. And I think Jordan Love is like, put it on my back now. And I'm not saying he's like Josh Allen. I'm not saying he's like Patrick Mahomes, any of that conversation yet. What I'm saying is he showed up and his team showed up. They rallied behind him big time.
It's his first crack. We don't know what we're going to get from Jordan Love. He could be Patrick Mahomes. He could be Josh Allen. We're about to find out.
We are. And here's a clip for you. Brock Purdy is no slouch, right? He showed up last year, did not play a full season, came in due to injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo went down, right? They had a lot of, Trent went down. Their first round pick, their main guy who they traded now. Listen, when I watch, it was Trey Lance, sorry. When I watch this, Brock Purdy is no slouch. They had a couple roadblocks this year. Last year finished strong. The roadblocks this season were like, whoa, we thought the 49ers were here. And then it's like, whoa, maybe they're not that good. Brock Purdy's a game manager. People started saying he's not a game changer. He's a game manager. So the matchup with him and Jordan Love right now, obviously, are game managers because Jordan Love hasn't proven anything outside of that just yet. But the real conversation, Brent, is, will Brock Purdy show up and the 49ers be the team that we saw early on, end of last season, or will they have a roadblock against the Packers, and these two players have to show up?
Brock Purdy is a game manager. That's it. But that's okay because he's got that guy. I'm pointing to the screen. He's got that guy right there on his team. He doesn't do, this is what I keep arguing even at the youth level, middle school, high school level. Look, you don't need a quarterback that can run all over the place. Those guys are one-dimensional. At the middle school and high school level, that's easy to stop. What you need is a guy that can get the ball into the hands of your stud playmakers, right? And if you got 3 or 4 stud playmakers like the 49ers do, you just need to have a guy that can get it to them and get them going. And I think Brock Purdy has done a fantastic job of that. I talked before about that was really when they won a Super Bowl the first time, Ben Roethlisberger was a game manager. It wasn't until into his career did he develop into the guy that would break tackles and, rumble and throw the ball and throw the ball 50 times a game, right? That wasn't what he was doing when they went 15-1. Or the following year when they won the Super Bowl. That's not who he was.
Yep.
This is very similar to me in that regard, and that's okay. Because the Niners have freaking studs all around him.
Everywhere.
Just get the ball to them and they'll win. That's it. That's
Brent, you said something that I really like just now, and you said it actually a few weeks ago. And this is really important for people to watch this. And Brent, you nailed this. You said you don't have to be a game changer. You could just be a game manager. And that is so freaking true, because at the quarterback position, with these two players, all you got to do is just play football. You don't have to be, Lamar Jackson running all around the field. You don't have to be, Mike Vick or one of those kind of guys that's running all over the place. The freakish talents like Lamar Jackson and even like Josh Allen at this point are throwing passes, running around, changing plays, audibles. Those are game changers. Those are real game changers. Game managing position is okay at the quarterback level. If you want to be a quarterback like Brock Purdy or a guy right now like Jordan Love, who's just managing the game, running the offense, the coach play, the play is in. Let me run this play. It looks better over here. Let me audible. Let me change the direction we're going. There's nothing wrong with that because you have talent around you. Yeah. And Jordan Love has
doesn't mean
Aaron
you
Jones.
Aren't good. That doesn't mean you aren't good. That doesn't mean you can't make throws. That doesn't mean you aren't reading defenses. It just means that you're not trying to win the game by yourself.
You're not trying to run down the field and dive all over the place.
Yes.
And you make play action, go through your reads. One's not open, two's not open. You might have to throw it away. You might have to scramble, throw it away, live to fight another down, right? That's okay. You don't have to make two guys miss, hurdle somebody, dive for a first down, because those are game changers. Game changers also get hurt a lot. So we don't need him to do that. He doesn't need to do that. His organization doesn't need him to do that. What they need is someone to show up, come through the tunnel, and I just showed this clip, and this is for both quarterbacks. This isn't just for Brock Purdy. Jordan Love has to show up and just play football. The Packers are excited about him now. He's won the fan base over. I'm not saying that they're diehard Jordan Love forever. I'm just saying he showed up, got to the playoffs. Whoa, wasn't expecting that.
No,
Beat the Cowboys, was up 27-0 in the first half. Wasn't expecting that. So now it's, hey, you're not going against Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. You're going against Brock Purdy, a guy that, and you're not playing Brock Purdy, you're playing against a defense, but hey, you guys are relatively new in the National Football League. Jordan Love's on his first year, Brent, in the National Football League. And Brock Purdy is only, on his second season. Last year had a great year. So I think that this game is a lot closer than people think because of the
not according to Jeremy in the chat. Jeremy in the chat thinks the Niners are going to smoke the Packers and Brock Purdy is going to throw for 350 yards.
If you're in the chat right now, put who you got. 49ers
I don't know.
We're watching right now live. Brent.
I don't know during the divisional
because
round.
People, listen, people think that the 49ers, and I'm not saying this is wrong, they're saying 49ers are the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Whether it's odds or not, or Vegas or friends or chat or whatever, a lot of people are saying right now that Brock Purdy is, quote unquote, the guy this year with the team around him as a game manager to win the Super Bowl. That's a good conversation that we will be having after this week if they can get past Jordan Love and the Packers, because I'll tell you this, even though I like the 49ers, I think they're a well-rounded football team. Deebo Samuel is no rookie in the game. They have a great coach. They have everything lined up. I do like that. But all I'm saying right now, Brent, is this. Jordan Love does have Aaron Jones and Aaron Dobbs. And when I watched last week, look, they played the Cowboys. How good are the Cowboys? I don't know at this point. I thought they were a lot better than probably than they were. But they steamrolled past them. This is going to be very exciting. You're taking the 49ers?
Yeah.
Before we move to the next topic.
Speaking of the Cowboys, what say you, Brandon, about Saquon Barkley?
We can move on. Wait, before I go to Saquon Barkley, You're taking the 49ers.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I thought you already picked your pick. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
here's the thing.
I thought that wearing that red jacket was your indication of who you were picking.
Well, listen, this is where we get on the show, and it's hard because people are like, who are you picking? Pick your damn team. And you know what? Somebody said this to me yesterday. They said, okay, you mentioned a team could play well, but if they don't do this, the other team could win this. So they're right. If I say, well, if they don't have a good running game, then they could win. I got to be direct and pick a freaking team. Live and die by the sword, right? I'm taking the 49ers, and the reason why I'm taking the 49ers isn't because this bright red jacket. I'm taking them because the Packers are way better than I thought they were. They came through, they won a playoff game, but I just think they're a playoff football team, but they just got there. They just skated in there. They're not the 49ers, and I think Deebo Samuel, I think Christian McCaffrey, I think Brock Purdy, I think the defense, they have a great defense. The defensive end, Bosa, they're so talented. I don't think they have a chance, especially on the road against 49ers.
And before we go to Saquon, I just want to make sure that my profound proclamation earlier in the week is restated. I do believe there will be one upset. I do believe the 49ers are the more team susceptible to an upset, but I believe the Texans are the team more likely to create an upset. So we'll see how it goes.
Brent. At least we're definitive. At least we're giving our concrete answers for people watching, so they can say, holy shit, right or wrong. So let's move on to this. This is very interesting. And Saquon Barkley, as we follow this, throughout the week, thank you to Clutch Points for their graphics. So here's the thing. As we follow this situation from last year into this year, Saquon Barkley never got that payday he wanted, never got that extension. A local guy, grew up in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, okay, right, an hour from the stadium? I grew up right near there as well, watched him play, went to Penn State, stayed local there, balled out. Giants brought him in, fan base was crazy. They all know who he is. It was wonderful. Now, comes in, great player. Then injuries start happening. Then it's what's going on with Saquon. Oh, I don't know. He's not the same person. Then he has a great season again. They gave all the money to Daniel Jones. They didn't want to give Saquon Barkley nothing basically for an extension. And I understand why at times. Before I go to the next button I have here, I'm not going to do that just yet. I have a little thing to show you, Brent. But when I think about it, I go, I like Saquon Barkley, and I want him to have all the money. I think he should be there with the Giants. I like him a lot. But if I'm an owner, I'm looking at running backs coming in. I'm going, okay, surgery, injury, okay, surgery, extension. You start scratching your head, and you're like, you start looking at the draft, right? Running backs, I hate to say this, running backs are replaceable. Quarterbacks, maybe not, but running backs are replaceable. And I don't know if the Giants are in love with Saquon Barkley for the next 5 years. I think he's a great player. And Brent, look at this picture so you can see what I said. Now, I got this here, him talking to the Cowboys, right? People are like, oh, excuse me, you're saying that now because, you're watching the media. Howard, can you show him what happened last year when I was trying to show people what I thought was going on?
Ah, there we go.
Bang! Bang! Listen, before we go to Ezekiel Elliott and why I'm talking about that, look at this clip, Brent. Or look at this photo here. Saquon Barkley to Dallas Cowboys a year ago. I've been saying this because it makes sense. And the reason why it makes sense, outside of the injuries, right? And I'm not saying, well, he's.
Are you sure that was a year ago? Look at that. Look at those glasses. You've aged a lot.
Hey.
You've aged a lot in a year. You got gray in the beard.
Hey, that's why we do the little dye. But check this out, right? I said it a year ago. And let's show the other thing here. Howard, pull it up with Ezekiel Elliott. Now, everybody knows what Ezekiel Elliott was doing in Dallas, scoring touchdowns, jumping in that ball. Brent, I know you loved it. You're based there. You saw it. It was great. But he's gone, and Tony Pollard is the guy there. So what does that mean? Who's going to replace him? And that's why I said this. Pull that original shot up, Howard. The original. There we go. So now, who can replace him in the NFL? There's Derrick Henry, who we'll talk about in a second, and then there's Saquon Barkley. I really like Saquon Barkley going to the Cowboys if he's healthy. I think Jerry Jones is crazy if he doesn't jump on that phone right now, I'm telling you, and get Saquon for a deal. If you go in there and you go crazy and spend all this money, that's not that smart.
You are crazy, Brandon.
Hey,
Brandon, this is absurd.
Watch
all right.
and see.
Jerry, you may be right, but that's because Jerry Jones has no idea what to do at this point. if his big fix is to go pay 15 or 20, there we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Old school Brandon Mason here. If Jerry Jones thinks that his problems is that he needs to go pay $20 million a year for a running back, it's time to put him in a little chair and wheel him to the nursing home, lock him in, throw away the key, and let somebody else run the organization. What? I can't think. If I were to, $20 million. No, I'm not done. If I were to sit here and think about what are the 5 things I would not do if I were the GM of the Cowboys. Number 1,
don't bring Tua.
Not paying $20 million a year for a running back. Holy moly!
Not $20 million.
Jerry can't be this out of touch. I was going to say dumb, and I didn't because that's name calling. He can't be out of touch. This is the silliest idea, Brandon, that you've had, and for that exact reason, this is why it will happen. Jerry will definitely get Saquon Barkley because Jerry has no idea how to fix this problem. And that, I'm being serious. Look at that freaking game last week.
But not $20 million, Brent.
Hold on. They didn't lose by 27 points because they didn't have Saquon Barkley. They lost by 27 points because their coach called run plays on 2nd and 11 5 times in a row. That's why they lost, not because they didn't have Saquon Barkley. This is silly.
Listen, if you say $20 million,
I need to go take some blood pressure medicine. I'll be back.
Listen, I like what you're saying about that part for the money, but I'm saying for a deal. Last season, they should have took Saquon when they could have got him or negotiated that. But right now,
no deal, Brandon. The Giants are in the division with the Cowboys. The last person they're going to give a deal to, they will give a deal to who sucks? The Bears.
But they're not keeping
Panthers.
him.
They're not giving a deal to the Cowboys.
But the problem is this. If they don't re-sign him at all, and his contract expires, right? His agent is going to try to find him a job. And I'm just saying,
his contract has expired.
Right? So what happens now?
He is on the tag, the franchise tag. So they have 3 choices. They can negotiate a contract with him.
Yep.
They can say, hey, we're not going to do this. You go find a new team. Yep. Or 3, they can tag him again. You can tag a player.
Which will be so ridiculous.
It will be ridiculous.
He's still
getting
paid
the right to do it. I don't think that they should pay him whatever the tag is going to be, $15 or $20 million.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's silly.
He's going to get like $6 million, $7 million a year to go somewhere else. And Ezekiel Elliott is gone. And the Cowboys, Tony Pollard is not getting it done as the only back for the Cowboys. They need a bigger guy. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard together were phenomenal. And I think that took some of the light off it. But we're going to move on to another back right now with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is another back, similar to, but really strong, big guy, can run you over, can stiff arm you into next week. And now people are like, well, Derrick Henry's done. Where is he going to go? He's made it very clear, Brent, countless times. He wished he would have gone to the Dolphins. Now, if anybody calls Derrick Henry and offers him a lot of money, he's going to be like, yep, let's go. I know that. I'm not saying he won't go anywhere, but what I'm saying is this is a team that he really wanted to go to. And I got to tell you something. When they're talking about now re-signing Tua to this extension, and I know he's a good person. I like Tua, and I've been talking to some people about bringing him on here 15, 20 minutes and talking, so I'm definitely not going to bash him, and I never would. I like him. But
you know what I want to hear from Tua? I've already got this for you. I want him to talk about his concussion experiences because I think he can educate, and I don't think they're using him properly on that because I suspect that he's been cleared or he's doing some treatments that people don't know about, and he needs to educate younger kids on what he's doing to keep himself healthy, but not to distract.
No, that's great, Brent. That's great. I like that. But what I'm saying is, I always put my hat on as a player. Yeah, he's a good player. Look at his passing yards. And then you look at his receivers, and Tyreek Hill had a lot of that. But if you go to any other team, you look at another quarterback, the receiver had a lot of that too. It's part of your team. But what I'm saying is, I like Tua. I hope he makes a lot of money. I hope he plays a long time. I like him as a person, great guy. But when I put my GM hat on, right, my Brent Chapman GM hat on, and I go, okay, if I don't have a quarterback right now and Tua has one more year, nothing wrong with that. But it's almost like the Kenny Pickett conversation we'll get to in a second. Next year is really important for you, but there is no next year for Tua. So if you resign him to 3 to 5 year contract, it's not $1 million a year. It's a lot of money, and I think it's throwing money down the tubes if you're going to be really conscious all the time about concussions for him and head injuries and what we can't do and what the media said, and this is a problem. So I think what they should do is get a running back like Derrick Henry to carry the load big time. They have another running back there already too, and they'll see what happens there. And then they go get themselves another quarterback. I don't think you can draft a quarterback and learn from Tua. I don't think that's the kind of quarterback he is. I think either you sign him to a deal, which is very scary, or you go find someone else. But let's move on to the Steelers because I know you didn't want to talk about the Steelers, but I know.
Oh my gosh, the Steelers, they're done.
Check this out. Tomlin is staying, right? And I said, I don't know. You never know. If he didn't make the playoffs, I thought Tomlin was going to have some hard times in Pittsburgh. Because he made the playoffs, which
What did Brent say?
Yeah, you said he, no matter what.
There was a 100% chance he was staying.
Now, if he did not make the playoffs and they went in there, they would have said, well, he'd have a quarterback, no, yada, yada, yada. But if they did not make the playoffs, I believe his seat would have been a lot hotter than what people were talking about. Because they made it, they went in, they gave Buffalo a little bit of a tougher run at the end of the game, but early on they got destroyed by Josh Allen. It was ridiculous. So now Tomlin is back. He's staying. They're getting him an extension. There's no issues there, I guess. And he said very clearly, Kenny Pickett is back at number one. He's the guy, which he kind of has to be on the contract or whatever, but he's the guy. But heading into next season is going to be big for Kenny Pickett because if he doesn't produce, if he doesn't show up for whatever reason, they get him who they need around him. They get him some players. Pickens, strong defense. They get him a great setup. If he doesn't win games like the Steelers want, his seat will also be hot. So, that's something I wanted to say because I do think that combination is good. He believes in him, but I think Kenny Pickett is not going to be that long.
What he said is he believes in Kenny Pickett and he'll have an opportunity, but he has to compete. You will compete.
Yep. Yes.
We will. He did say you will compete for this job.
Yep.
So he said they're going to bring in Russell Wilson. They're going to bring in somebody. They're going to bring somebody. They're going to bring in Russell Wilson. Yes.
We've been talking about this.
They're going to bring in somebody to compete with him. Now, who that somebody is will determine a lot about whether he's really the guy they want or if if they bring in
Russell Wilson and think that Kenny Pickett is going to start.
They
Because
bring in some career backup, then, that's a veteran, then that they want Kenny Pickett to
you
start.
got to bring in someone you got to bring in someone like this. Just hear what I'm saying here. In order to create competition for Kenny Pickett, where he's still the guy, but competition, you got to bring in players like Garoppolo's of the world.
Garoppolo is
and
what I was
those
going to say.
people. If you go to Russell Wilson,
And Andy Dalton
Pickett's
would
benched.
be a great one, right? He comes in, he's a great quarterback, but is he the starter? Is he not? If Pickett doesn't play well, Andy Dalton can definitely beat him out for the job. Same with, I like your Garoppolo, right? It'll challenge him, but both Garoppolo and Dalton are okay with probably being, hey, I want a chance to compete, but I also am okay with being the backup. Russell Wilson is not going to Pittsburgh to be the backup. He is going to be the starter.
and so I like Kenny Pickett as a backup. I really do. I like Kenny Pickett as a quarterback. I love him as a backup quarterback. He steps in the game. He's competitive. He's ready to go. He's going to do it. But I think if you brought Russell Wilson in or someone like that magnitude and he started for the Steelers, that would bring the Steelers fans to be like, let's go. 2024, we're going to be ready to go. And I think that gives them energy, morale. Tomlin's pumped up. And then you have a great backup quarterback in Kenny Pickett. But let's move on to Deshaun Watson, because obviously he got a shit ton of money. He's got more money coming to him. I mean, it was ridiculous, but hats off to him, hats off to his agent, his family, whoever. And then all the allegations came in, right, about the massage parlors and all this courts and giving money to who to pay this person to make this go away, X, Y, Z. Obviously, I'm saying allegedly, whatever, but things have happened. But what I will say about Deshaun Watson, I'll let you give me your input on this, Brent. I think Deshaun Watson is still a really talented quarterback. And I believe he won the last 3 games that he played for the Browns before he got hurt and was out and whatever, and played well. Passing, running, breaking tackles, running for first downs, passing for he played really well, and I had some stats here. But what I'm saying is, people they didn't write him off. I made some statements on here saying, look, that's way too much money for this guy, and I still mean that. They paid him $100 million more than you had to, or maybe even more than that, really, because he wasn't even there anyway playing. But he got all this money, and Joe Flacco was there. Joe Flacco was winning games. So I like Deshaun Watson coming back. I think the contract was way over the top. But to fairness, he played well in the last 3 games.
He was a very good quarterback, and then he had some knucklehead issues off the field and missed a year, and then got traded, which was a horrible trade in hindsight. And then he got injured. Then he got injured again. I'm sorry. In his first year back after missing a year, he got suspended 8 games. So by the time he came back, the team was terrible. So he kind of played a little bit, but you never really got to see what was going on. Then he played this year and got injured. So I don't know if we get a full year of Deshaun Watson. Do we get that Deshaun Watson back? Probably, but somebody's got to be willing to give him that chance. I suspect the Browns will go into next season with Watson and Flacco on the roster, and we'll let Deshaun Watson have one more try at it, knowing they have
$200 million, Brent.
Well, they don't have a choice, dude. They've paid so much in guarantee money anyways. They might as well just let him play.
He got to play.
Knowing they've got handyman Flacco waiting in the wings to come in if he gets injured or if he can't do it. So I think actually the Browns are in a good situation, because you have to believe that at some point Deshaun Watson is going to get back on the horse, right? And is going to get it back. You have to believe that.
Yep. And you know what,
now we've seen many examples of where that never happens, and the career is just over. he was too good and his career didn't end because of talent. It ended because of stupidity.
Yep.
And so I think if he comes back rehabbed, they give him a chance. He could be, comeback player of the year next year. It'll be interesting to watch.
I like Deshaun Watson. I liked him his whole career. You know what's funny? Not to go back on the hit list, but can you imagine if Joe Flacco went to the Steelers? I mean, I got to tell you something. Went to Pitt, obviously, was with Joe Flacco at Pitt, and then the coaches were like, he's not going to play here in college. Leaves, then he gets drafted, yada, 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 went to Super Bowl or whatever. He's with the Browns now. But can you imagine Joe Flacco being released if he was gone from the Browns next year? Because XYZ, he's getting older, obviously, so they bring in Deshaun Watson back. They bring some other players back. Hey, Joe, thank you for your time.
No, they'll keep him.
But no, I'm just saying, can you imagine if he wasn't there anymore and the Steelers picked up Joe Flacco? Listen, I like that too. I like Russell Wilson, but I'll tell you this. I like Joe Flacco to come in for 1 to 2 years for the Steelers. I really do. And that will really press the envelope with Kenny Pickett. And I think you're in the same situation where then you got to start Flacco, right? Or whatever. So anyway, I just think that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think Flacco is at the point in his career where he's like, hey, I had some magic in a bottle here because of the offense and the team that was around me, and I'll just stick with that. Yeah. I think that's what he'll do. I think we'll see what Deshaun Watson can do. But going from massages to the man who is the self-promoter of all self-promoters, what has Mr. Deion Sanders done now, Brandon?
So, you know what's crazy is every day you get on social media, you wake up, Deion's got something to say, and a lot of people are like, well, some people, not myself, some people say, he's self-centered or he's selfish or XYZ, but on the flip side of him talking about what he's doing, what I'm building is that he's motivational. Deion Sanders really has changed the game in some people's eyes for the better, in some people's eyes for the worse, because what he built at Jackson State and then went to Colorado. But you know what? However you want to spin it, he's transformed Colorado in a season. He's also transformed college football in a season or two. So he brought players there. They started off great. They didn't have the season they wanted, but they changed the program. And this year, Brent, they're bringing players. And look what he says here. 50,000 will get you a walk-on these days. What does that mean? Show the clip here quick, Howard. 50,000 will get you a walk-on because they're paying people in the portal.
What they cost. It's just quick and easy.
Hey, 100,000 here, 50,000 here, 500,000 here.
50.
Oh my gosh.
50 get you a walk on these days. Yeah.
They paying like that, Coach Brown?
No. I ain't never seen nothing like it, man. God bless their soul.
That's
So what Deion is saying in the portal, Brent, you might want to go get yourself some players, right? And he said it's not an ATM, but it is. You need to go get your money, the collectives, whatever university you're at, get your money and get the players you want and fill those positions. And what he just said was 50,000 will get you a walk-on, so get ready, be prepared to get some money for these players. And I think he's brought so much money to college football in the pockets of players this season. And you're very familiar, the founder of My NIL Pay, a very big setup, a platform for players to jump in and get paid. From your platform, they're being compensated the right way, the fundamental way, with no hiccups, no concerns. You go on there, you log in, you got your account, bang, you're getting paid properly. These players are transferring all over the place to be compensated, to get in the media. Colorado, no matter how you spin it, is going to be a forever bigger, better program, especially with Deion Sanders in the picture.
Deion Sanders is not helping NIL distribution of money because that is actually not true at all. The kids are not getting the money that people are talking about. And Deion is making it worse by making comments like, if you get a walk-on for $50,000. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe an Alabama walk-on, but not all. Like it's way overstated, guys.
Yeah, of course.
They're
It's
not
meant to be comedy,
getting.
but they are paying people. Collectives are
They
paying. A lot
are
of money.
getting paid. They are getting paid, but it's not millions and millions
Right.
and millions of dollars like he's alluding to in these statements, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's also very difficult to get paid because of how the system is structured. Like you said, Brandon, my NIL pay makes that easier for student athletes to get paid, but not everyone is using that. And so the system makes it difficult. You just can't hand money out. You just can't sign contracts with kids. It's not that easy. And so, and where the money comes from is incredibly scrutinized, right? The schools can't pay, so it can't come from the endowment. So without getting too much into all of that, it's grossly overstated. Deion is a self-promoter and a promoter in general, which is great. I love it. He's Deion freaking Sanders. How many times have I said that on this show? Right. And he is promoting himself in his university. And I think it's awesome. And I think it does help the kids that he does that. So more power to him. But I just take a grain of salt in that all these kids are getting lots of money. Some very few are getting money. But
Yeah, but the point is, though, and you're right, but the point is, you're in Colorado. I need to win now. He's not looking to build, hey, in the next 5-6 years, we're going to have a good team. No, he's like, tomorrow,
you know what else
I
he's
want to
doing?
win. And look, his schedule is not weak. He packed
You know what
his
else he's
schedule is
doing?
not weak. He said,
No.
I will play USC. I will play. He doesn't care. So to his defense, and what you said I know that's true too, but to his defense, he's like, I want to win now. How do I get, and this could be bad
Brandon.
for college football, but he goes, I want to get those linebackers right there. How do
Brandon.
I get them?
It
Money.
says, how do I get them? It's a sales tactic. It's like going to the car dealership. He's selling his alumni and boosters. Oh, heck, I can't even get a practice squad player or whatever, a walk-on for $50,000. What he's saying is, Mr. Colorado alumni, open up your freaking checkbook and write me a bigger check. Because what he's saying is actually nonsense. But who he's speaking to is it's like a car dealer. He's like, oh, with an extra $3,000, you can get a sunroof, right? Like he's trying.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, even
is
if you're right,
telling
it's still
alumni
true.
that he needs more money. He is talking directly to people contributing to the university and the NIL collective, and he is saying, if you want a good football team, you need to give me more money. That's what he's doing.
That's right. And where does that money go?
To the collective, but to his players.
That's the whole point. What he's saying. So he gives
but
and
if
gets
they
those
really knew, like he's trying to motivate, dude, there's massive donor fatigue amongst NIL collectives. Like people, this is not a recurring investment that you can just keep throwing $50,000 a year to a team. It's like, it's silly, right? So he's trying incredibly hard to say, well, if you want me to get more than 4 wins, you better open your checkbook.
Hey,
that's what he's trying to do. And so that's why he said that. That is a message directly to Colorado alumni.
Love or hate
so I
it.
hope you're listening.
Love or hate it, Deion Sanders was a primetime player, was one of the best to ever play in the NFL in his position. And now leading into one of the best coaches, he was Jackson State. He got to Colorado, and now not even his players are getting opportunities. His coaching staff, they coach with him. They're getting opportunities. Hey, I coach with Deion Sanders here. I'm going to go to play. There, he's helping them too. We're going to move on, though, to Caleb Williams because this was interesting, Brent. What's going on here? Obviously, Caleb Williams expected to be the first pick or the first quarterback taken, and now his coach, right, former coach, is interviewing with the Bears. How significant is that? Because the Bears could potentially draft Caleb Williams in the first round, the first pick. What do you think about that, Brandon?
It's very significant, Brandon, and I'll explain why. But let me give a little background first. So The Bears fired their former offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy, at the end of this season and some of the offensive staff, right? And it's just not Kingsbury that they've interviewed, right? They've interviewed probably like 8 or 9 other guys so far, right? And some names you would recognize. So why this is important to me is, I think, 2 reasons. One, they're bringing Kingsbury in for an interview, not just to interview Kingsbury for the OC job, but to do some due diligence on Caleb Williams, right? That's very important. So,
yes,
so they're bringing him in to hear him talk about Caleb Williams.
Wow.
Now, keep in mind, he also was hired by the Cardinals when they had the first pick.
Yep.
And he didn't coach Kyler Murray, but he coached against Kyler Murray. And he went in saying into that, I will draft Kyler Murray and I will make him my franchise quarterback.
Yep.
So I think what you're going to get is if he walks into that interview and says, look, Caleb Williams is your guy for the next 10 years. You need to get him. I know how to use him. I was just with him. Hire me. We'll draft Caleb Williams and off we go. I think that's an incredibly interesting. Now, if he goes in there and is like, yeah, you know, Fields is good and I would ride with him and blah, you know, Caleb's got this and that and this and that, right? They might, you know, that might help them with their decision on Caleb Williams. But I think it's incredibly telling why they bring Cliff Kingsbury in. I think it is potentially for him to be the offensive coordinator, but I also think it's to learn more about Caleb Williams.
Friend, I got to tell you, you're on roll right now with this. I like what you just said 100%, even though I wanted to debate with you.
Well, that's because, Brandon, before the show started off the air, you called me low energy Brent. I don't have like a Red Bull IV here. I have no cocaine on my desk that I can keep myself going forever. You know, there are moments where you've got to like relax a little bit.
Right. Listen. Yes, I'm going to give you credit on this too. But you do come on the show. Well, on the show, we got a lot to talk about today. So, hey, what you just said, Brent, is spot on because I didn't think about it like that, but you're 100% correct. They could hire him because, yeah, Caleb Williams is going to go there. He's going to be there. But the truth is, what you just said is they could learn more about Caleb Williams before they even draft him, even if they don't bring him in, which is a very solid point. And I do think that the Bears need to restructure their situation. I still like Justin Fields, and you can feel the energy right now, Brent. It's heading in the direction of him leaving because they keep shopping and shopping and shopping. Eventually, you go, hey, you can't have a wife, right? And then you just keep going on random dates to see, hey, this is trial and error. It's not going to work. So at the end of the day, I think that is going to be the change. I think this is what you're going to see happen. I think you're going to see these guys in Bears uniforms, right? I think that's what's happening right now, Brent. You know, but I like what you just said. And I don't even got to recap this because you crushed it. So we're going to move on right now to Alabama and talk about Austin Mack. So what is going on here? Austin Mack, ex-Washington quarterback, transfers to Alabama. Now, why is this so significant? Obviously, because his coach is now there coaching for Alabama. And don't forget, Milroe is still there. The quarterback from last year, Alabama, is still there. So this is very interesting. Now, he didn't play last season because, he was behind Penix. And so that was the flash there. Do we have another clip? Do we have another photo here, Howard? That was behind this shot, or is this the only shot? Are you there on the line with us right now? I believe that was the only.
Yeah, that's the only shot.
Okay. So I had another actual image, Brent, I wanted to pull up, but it shows, the coach at Washington with his quarterback, Penix, and then this guy's kind of in the background not playing. But now that he goes there, what do you think people in Alabama are thinking? The transfer portal, as crazy as it is, but all of a sudden, he's bringing his players in, right?
Yep.
Bringing some players in. And I'm not saying he's going to bring more. I'm just saying it's very interesting because he followed his coach to a new school. He must be thinking something. Hey, I think I got a good shot over there.
Yep. Let me jump into this for you, Brandon. And I will say this is you guys think that I'm multifaceted. Hey, put the camera back on me for a minute. you think I'm multifaceted here, Brandon? So I'm on this show with you, and I'm also running my NIL pay on my phone during the show. So,
let's go.
And I do have an important call in 5 minutes, so we're gonna have to wrap this up pretty quickly. But I will say this: ex-Washington QB, yes, Austin Mack transfer. But look, he's a good quarterback, and obviously was recruited by DeBoer. But they also still have Jalen Milroe returning. They still have on their bench, as you can imagine, Alabama gets stacked talent. So they've got Ty Simpson, who was a high prospect. They also have Julian Sayin. Now, Julian Sayin was the number 3 overall prospect on ESPN's top 300. So he's the top quarterback in the recruiting class coming in to Alabama. So DeBoer gets him. He's got his guy from Washington. Look, this is how Alabama works. They're going to show up. They're going to play. No one's guaranteed everything. And then at the end of the season, one of them will transfer and go to another team and play there.
You're going to see these quarterbacks, I promise you, in the next couple weeks, you're going to start hearing, because they have meetings. One of these quarterbacks in that room, there's 4 or 5 that are pretty damn good.
Jalen Milroe might be the one that goes.
There you go. I was thinking the same thing.
Because if it depends what DeBoer says, but Milroe might be the one, because DeBoer might be okay with the number 1 prospect and his guy that he just brought, and the other guy, Ty Simpson. So that's what I got. I think it's going to be interesting. Now, Brandon, I'm going to wrap my part up by saying the following. We have a very important game on Sunday. The Bills do. They play the Chiefs. I'm very nervous about this game. I don't know what'll happen. I feel the momentum is there for the Bills to kind of break the Mahomes curse, but the NFL doesn't want that. The NFL wants, who's your girl? Taylor Swift.
That's what
in
I'm
the
hearing.
Super Bowl. So what do? They go ahead and they assign the reffing crew to the Bills that is historically, I'm going to give you one stat, and I know you love my stats, Brandon.
I do.
The Bills in the Sean McDermott era, which is 4 or 5 years, have had 16 games called against them with 10-plus penalties. 16 out of 200 games. 16. 4 of those games, 25% out of 5 games were called by the crew who is reffing the game this week. So the other 13 out of 200 by other refs and 4 from that crew. The NFL wants Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. And guess what Bills Mafia and Josh Allen are going to do? No matter who's against them, they're winning that game. I'm telling you. Go Bills. I'm done.
Brent, thanks for having me on. I love what you just added to that. I do think that Taylor Swift, if she has any type of halftime performance and involving any commercials or anything, the NFL is probably going to be wanting her in there, but they got to play ball to see what happens. Thanks for having you on the show, Brent. We will see you on Monday to talk about this weekend.
On Buffalo Monday.
Yeah, you better hope it's Buffalo Monday, bud.
It better be Buffalo Monday.
All right.
Or I'm not coming.
What?
I'm not going to be here on Monday if the Bills don't win. I'm taking the day off. That's it. Go Bills.
All right, buddy. We'll see you soon. Guys, thanks for tuning into the Brandon Mason Show. We had a lot to talk about today. Obviously, the Packers, the 49ers, the playoff weekend. We got the Bills, the Chiefs. There's a lot happening. People are going to be rooting for their favorite team, obviously. A lot going on. Even Taylor Swift, is she doing any kind of performances? So people are confused. Do they think that people are leaning toward the Chiefs? Do they want the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? But realistically, they got to play and they got to ball. It's going to be very, very interesting. Remember to stay tuned to us Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy your weekend. Until next time.